Hi guys, happy Friday. Um, Hope you're having a good day today. I'm excited today for two reasons. First, I have a shout out to three people who logged into Think Central and did some of their math lessons on Think Central. Melanie, Sultan. So great job to you guys for trying it and taking my advice on trying some of the math online, and you guys are going to get they are going to get to unlock and see my TikTok dance that I practiced for an hour the other day and learned it but did not master it. So they'll get to see Miss Byrne kind of embarrassing herself trying to do the TikTok renegade dance. Um, the rest of you, keep trying if you can. If not, just come back to these videos and hopefully they're helping you check to see, maybe learn something new with the unlock while you're watching me. And then later on in the lesson, checking to see how you're doing. So I'm also excited because we get to start a new chapter today, chapter 5, and this one is going back and using multiplication facts again. So we've already done 2 chapters on multiplication, 2 chapters on division, and so this is our final one that's going to be on multiplication, and it's actually going to add some new lessons in on multiplication and kind of just using some of the skills you already know and maybe bumping it up a level. So, our first lesson today is describing patterns and thinking about what we know about multiplication to help us notice some patterns in tables or other places. So, it says essential question: what are some ways you can describe a pattern in a table? So, here's the unlock the problem. The outdoor club is planning a camping trip. Each camper will need a flashlight. One flashlight uses 4 batteries. So I'm already starting to picture that in my mind. That makes sense. When I have flashlight or a remote control, I have to put like 4 batteries in it a lot of the time. How many batteries are needed for 8 flashlights? Okay, so you're already noticing right here that a way you might want to solve this problem is you're saying I have 8 flashlights, there's 4 batteries in each, so you're kind of already figuring out your own way of solving that. But they're kind of going to have you look at this table to help you also try to solve it in another way. Okay, so it says you can describe a pattern in a table. Now, what's really important for you to make sure that you pay attention to today and whenever you're using tables is you have to make sure you read the words, the headings, either on the side or on the top, because they help you understand what the numbers in that row or column mean. Okay, so we don't want to skip the words. We want to make sure we read them first so that we know what the information is telling us. So this top row is counting flashlights. So when I see this one, it's 1 flashlight, 2 flashlights, 3 flashlights, 4. The bottom row is telling me how many batteries I would need if I had that many flashlights. So if I have 1 flashlight, I would need 4 batteries. If I had 2 flashlights, I would need 8 batteries. If I had 3 flashlights, I would need 12 batteries, right? Okay, so they started the table for us. Now the question asks us how many batteries are needed for 8 flashlights. So down here is 8 flashlights, and they are saying that we need to figure out how many batteries are needed for that one. So let's figure out a way we could finish this table and solve how many batteries we would need. One way is describing a pattern across the rows. So the other thing in this lesson that you're going to have to pay close attention to is the difference between rows, which go across, and columns, which go up and down, okay? So we're going to look across the rows like this to see if we notice a pattern, and then across this row where the batteries are to see if we know a pattern. So step 1 says look for a pattern to complete the table. As you look across the rows, you can see that the number of batteries increases by 4 for each flashlight. All right, so let's see what they mean. So as my flashlights increase by 1 each time, so if I have 1 flashlight, then 2 flashlights, then 3 flashlights, what's happening to my batteries each time? I had 4 batteries, and then how do I get from 4 to 8? What do I count by, or what do I add? 4 plus 4 is 8. So I like to write that, and it's going to be a little tricky with this pen. Let's try my special pen here. From 4 to 8, I had to add 4. Now, how do I get from 8 to 12? 8 plus 4 is 12. To find a pattern, I have to make sure it does it over and over and over again. I'm going to check a couple times just to make sure I really do have the pattern. How do I get from 12 to 16? Add 4. Then 16 to 20, you add 4. So the pattern that we see is that I'm counting by 4s. And a third grade way to say count by 4s is really add 4. Okay, but if you notice here, they said, okay, this row is count by 4s, and the top row where the flashlights are is just counting by 1s. So for every time I add 1 flashlight, I have to add 4 batteries, which I kind of knew that. That's what the clue said up here, right? Okay, so if I'm already at 28 and I know, oh, here we go. Let's just fill that in. So for every flashlight, add 4 batteries, right? Now let's look at step 2. Use the pattern to find the number of batteries in 8 flashlights. So what do I need to do? If they got me to 28 right here, how do I figure out what's supposed to go in that next box? Well, I'm going to continue the pattern, right? So I would add 4. Add 4 to 28 batteries. 28 plus 4 is 32. So 32 batteries are needed for 8 flashlights. Now, I think, like I said, we've done so many chapters on this that I think most of you would have already been able to figure that strategy out yourself, how you skip count by 4s, right? Because if it says 4 each, you keep counting by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and 32. So 32 goes here, okay? But there's another way to notice patterns in this table. Okay, so like I said, second graders or when we're before we've mastered our new multiplication skill would use the skip counting or adding 4s, right? But some of you are saying, Ms. Byrne, we've learned that that takes a little too long and we don't necessarily have to do that. So now let's try another way down here. Says another way, describe a pattern in the columns. So now can we look down and up to see if there's a pattern that way? So it says step 1, look for a pattern by comparing the columns in the table. So that means start here and go down. For 1 flashlight, I have 4 batteries. For 2 flashlights, I have 8 batteries. For 3 flashlights, I have 12. What am I doing to all of these top numbers to get me this bottom number? How do I get from 1 to equal 4? How do I get from 2 to equal 8? And it has to be the same thing every time. What's happening every time? Well, it says we're multiplying the number of flashlights by 4 to find the number of batteries that are needed. That's the whole point, right? We're trying to find the number of batteries. So is that what's happening? 1. And if I go down and do times 4 going down, 1 times 4 is 4. 2, I wish I could have better writing here. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. So my pattern going down is not adding 4 this time. It's not 5 plus 4 is 20 or 6 plus 4 is 24. Going down, it's multiplying by 4, right? So I'm multiplying the number of flashlights by 4 to get me the number of batteries. So if I know that pattern keeps continuing, the flashlights times 4 gives you the batteries. 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. Then down here for these 8 flashlights, I'm going to follow that pattern too. 8 times 4, what is it if you know your math facts? 32. Okay, so it says use the pattern to find how many are needed for 8 flashlights. So that would be 32. Okay, so that's your first practice with finding patterns in a table, either going across or going up and down in the columns. So we'll stop there and we will do a new video for the next page.